Hello everyone, Tyra Dawn Chaser here with a new series called Tea Talk with Tyra, in which I really just speak to issues or news surrounding the MMO genre. I've been on a bit of a hiatus recently after the massive project that was my Scholar Guide, but I can assure you all that new videos are definitely on the way. Now okay y'all, let's just get right into it and spill the tea right off the bat. Now we know that WoW and Final Fantasy XIV are vastly different worlds, but even so, I've noticed an alarming trend in the WoW healing community that's got me sort of on edge. The healing experiences in both games are really intrinsically different, I get that, but I feel like WoW's experience will never be as good as Final Fantasy's. The difference is that Final Fantasy XIV's healers have a unique sense of identity about them, as opposed to the disingenuous blob of green numbers WoW healers have become. Take a classic example, the White Mage. White Mage has a sense of identity. It fulfills a niche that no other healer can, in the form of its unbridled healing and DPS power, surpassing even Scholar when it comes to raw damage numbers. White Mage has massive potential for numbers, free healing, MP conservation. White Mage, in all seriousness, has a pretty significant advantage over the other two healers, Astrologian and Scholar, but it's limited in the sense that the job has less of an ability to synergize with the other healer and the rest of the party due to its innate lack of utility. Scholar, by the same token, lacks White Mage's raw healing numbers and strength, but makes up for this disability with its powerful absorption and mitigation-centered playstyle and a huge utility toolkit, as well as higher sustained DPS. Astrologian, I guess to me, it's really sort of a middle ground between these two extremes. It sort of offers an alternative. It draws from White Mage in that it produces sizable healing numbers, and it also learns from Scholar's strong cooldown toolkit. It makes up for the weaknesses found in both classes to create a more moderate healing experience, with access to powerful utilities like card buffs, an arguably better single target region than White Mage, and it boasts a variety of cooldowns like Light Speed, Earthly Star, and Celestial Opposition, which can be used in tandem for some pretty amazing synergy. The point is overall that all of these jobs have unique identities. Bringing one over the other drastically alters the way your group dynamic functions and synergizes. Changing a healing job is felt. It has like an impact. It can alter the course of a fight. And this, as you probably have guessed, is the issue I have with WoW healers. With the exception of Discipline Priest and maybe Resto Druid, all the WoW healers play basically the same. Their presence isn't felt, it doesn't alter the way you play, nor does it interact with the encounter in any meaningful fashion. White Mage is and always has been a first choice healer when it comes to progression rating, but loses its flair when optimization comes into play. Later on, Astrologian's damage and buff utility and Scholar's high sustained DPS, as well as damage reduction, is considered a lot more valuable than what White Mage has to offer, which is the reason why it typically falls out of style the longer an expansion goes on. Honestly, I find this to be balanced. Most healers play all three jobs anyway, meaning they can change their job depending on what the group needs. Holy Priest, in WoW's terms, is supposed to be the powerhouse. It's supposed to be an easily playable but difficult to master vanilla healing spec that outputs massive numbers, but lacks some key components like, say, a Discipline Priest or a Holy Paladin might be able to make up for. Instead, right now in BFA, Holy Priest is no longer different from any other generic healing specialization out there. It doesn't really bring anything unique, it doesn't have any pitfalls, it doesn't have any strengths or weaknesses, and I get it's a balance thing. I get that Blizzard wants players to feel like they're important, that they're making a difference. But Final Fantasy accomplishes that with its system, however unbalanced the current healing meta may be right now. You have a role, a niche to fulfill that your other healer is just physically unable to emulate because of the way that their class is limited. You feel like you're making a difference because no one else is able to replicate what you're doing. WoW healers lack two key components to making their gameplay dynamic and interesting: strengths and weaknesses. It's as simple as that. WoW healers lack prominent strengths and weaknesses. They lack limits. Sure, a Mistweaver monk may be bad at doing X thing, but it's not really much of a disadvantage to warrant bringing a different class to make up for this disability. And again, for this reason, I believe that the healing experience in Final Fantasy is superior. Your choice in job, your choice in what you play, matters in the way your group functions and whether or not it succeeds. And, you know, that's not to say that Final Fantasy is necessarily perfect. One thing I think World of Warcraft does better than FF14 is the actual, emphasis on healing. This is a topic for another video, but in Final Fantasy XIV, there is way too much emphasis on DPS in my opinion. I mean, it's like you're literally spending 90% of the fight spamming Broil, and you just use your instant heals every time the boss does an AoE every 3 months. Like, I want to say that WoW's, combat system is a lot more intuitive in that sense, because healers are actually healing. Like in WoW, you have a couple seconds to DPS maybe, but as far as, boss fights go, you're spending 90% of the time healing, actually healing your group members. If I wanted to spam Broil all day, I would have played Summoner. Okay everyone, that concludes my first tea talk with Tyra. I hope this was interesting, and let me know if this is something you'd like to see on a regular basis. Please like and subscribe, and keep your health bars full. I'll catch you all later. ご清聴ありがとうございました。